What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to a special episode of Marvel's Avengers. Today I just kind of want to jump into this because I think there was some good news that was specifically addressed in the game recently, and I think it deserves, at the very least, some kind of interaction. I still do play the game, although I will 100% admit that the grind in this game is it's very real and it's a little too much, to be perfectly honest. Like, it's not as accessible a grind, like, almost meaning that if I play Marvel's Avengers and I commit to the grind, it, I'm pretty much just playing this game. So I will admit that little yeah, it's a little something for players to jump into. But I still do enjoy this game quite a bit and all that it holds. My main issue with the game right now is that they added the new shipments in version 2.2, which was definitely nice. That we basically got that in 2.2. Can't complain about it at all. But and basically it allowed a lot of ways for players to go get specialty like items for free as long as they grind for them. But the problem is that they require 100 shipments, and that's like 500 units per shipment. And I'm not about that life. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I did it for the Black Panther Iron Man uniform, but the two uniforms after, I really just didn't have I didn't have that drive in me to do it. Not for Iron Man, not for Hawkeye's uniform. I just did not have the grind in me for it. But for the players that do want that, it's there. I have to admit 100% that Marvel's Avengers has been releasing some dope ass costumes recently for the game. Can't complain about them at all. I'm currently showing you guys this on the PC. I own the game on both PC, Steam, and on PlayStation 5. But I'm playing PlayStation 5 mostly, so you're not going to see any updates and uniforms and stuff like that here. Not to mention you're not going to see Spider-Man, right? But I will admit that I have to admit that the uniforms that they've been rolling out are just amazing. Like, these two uniforms for Kate Bishop and Hawkeye were amazing. They released the Marvel's Studios Captain America, the first Avenger outfit as well. I think a lot of players were really geeked and happy about that. And then most recently, Thor is I think it's supposed to happen today with the rollout. Thor is supposed to receive a uniform as well. But yeah, I know I don't have any units. I just wanted to preview it, my man. I just wanted to preview it. So Thor, like, he's getting a new uniform in the game as well. He's getting his Thor Ragnarok uniform. But I want to give you guys a look at this, and this is what I'm talking about with the game. So essentially, you're looking at the Hawkeye Ronin uniform in here, which looks sick. If this didn't give you a reason to want to play as Hawkeye in the game, I don't know what reason was going to give you to play as Hawkeye, but this uniform looks absolutely amazing, and it's to the tune of 1,400 credits. 1,400 credits is roughly 14 goddamn dollars. So compare that to $50 for a uniform inside Marvel's Future Revolution. It's comparative to Marvel Future Fight and what they normally ask you for games. It's comparative to Marvel Contest of Champions, which is at the top of the list in terms of Netmarble's earning potential. That's comparative sakes, right? So I've been making these comparatives because a lot of people want to make comparatives where comparatives should not be made, but I'm going to compare these comparatives anyways. The Marvel Mall essentially in here is far better than the Marvel Mall that we've experienced inside Marvel Future Revolution. That is just the absolute truth. The truth, excuse me. So I like that. Even when we look at like something like Captain America's first Avenger uniform, I wasn't necessarily a fan of this one as much as it was his dragon armor from Endgame and the one before, but it's there nonetheless. I liked it. So what we're waiting for today to release, because I'm dying to see how it looks in game. If I'm being 100% honest, I want to see the model. More in game than I do want to see it the way it is now. While we've gotten some of Thor characters, we've got the Avengers and we got the Endgame uniform. We're gonna get released this uniform right here. We're gonna get the Thor Ragnarok uniform. Now, I have to admit, from this picture, it looks very cartoony, and I'm not liking it overall. If I'm being perfectly honest, that's just me, but I would love to see the uniform in game before anything happens. This is what we're getting, right? Is that Thor Ragnarok uniform. It'll be available in the marketplace at February 17th. So roughly that should be about 12 Eastern time where we should see that today. So they've been adding and throwing a lot of uniforms at us, but the bad part about this is they've been throwing uniforms at us in a informational downpour. So it's like I think I said that wrong. We've been getting no information on the state of the game, and a lot of players have been starting to feel as if though this game is not going to continue. Well, good enough is that this week they actually released a little note in here. So let's take a look at it real quick. So basically, they say that they're just not ready to reveal the next full roadmap, but they want to share some updated news inside here. And for the near medium, the near and medium term. So this should be good in terms of what they're talking about. So you can see they right away address the core game systems, and they understand that we, the player base, are not happy necessarily with the core game system. The game loop is essentially the same in terms of that. Like if you were to take a look at this and comparatively say it's a Marvel Future Revolution, I'd be like this. A lot of people love the fact that there's so many villains inside Marvel Future Revolution, which is really, really great, but you're not doing shit with those villains. Let's be perfectly honest. It's a autoplay loop that you really do nothing with those villains. And most of the time, you probably aren't even seeing it. I autoplay most of the segment. It takes me maybe an hour to play the game, and I never see the villains anyways because the games don't autoplay. The only thing I don't autoplay is Omega War. That's it, and that's it when I choose to play that. So they specifically want to talk about the core system, like I just said, the shipments, where they're like they know they input that system, but they need to make it so that way the resource economy has gone along with these changes because it's not quite there. The same thing for the Red Room takeover and the corrupted vibranium events. They just take too long to complete, and that's a truth in my opinion, especially when you're playing in a lot of the same biomes. The environments, it really becomes repetitive when they expect you to be on the game for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and you're playing in the same repetition over and over again. If you were only experiencing that environment for 1-2 hours at most, the way you would inside Marvel Future Revolution or Marvel Future Fight, you'd probably be like, whatever. You know what? It's easy to just distract and go on, especially if you drop in some things here and there that feel rewarding. But right now, spending that much time inside the game, it really feels just hard. So they're talking about a sneak peek at patch 2.3, which is coming out next month, and this might have a lot of people happy. First up, they're talking about Nick Fury is returning to lead Shield and coordinate future Avengers initiative missions alongside Director Hill. This is exciting because this obviously hints at the fact that we're going to be getting more content in the future that's going to be here. Now, one of the things I wanted to make clear to people is that Square Enix has a background, right? So where as opposed to I don't feel necessarily like I'm committed to this game overall for its future because of the game state that it's in, same way I don't feel 100% committed about the future of Marvel Future Revolution, right? Is that Square Enix has a history of taking games that they did not feel that, was living up to expectations and putting the foot to the pedal and giving it, what is needed in order to succeed. Final Fantasy is one of those games. Square Enix does not have a long history of just letting games that they really invested in fail. And so that is optimistic that, they're literally talking about, Nick Fury coming back to lead some Avengers initiatives. So you can see they're even talking about reworking the war table and the mission select system. They're talking about the launching leveling journey through Avengers initiative, the Avengers initiative, because people want to be able to get to that leveling process and just play the in-game content. So making it more difficult. Like they did something similar to what Marvel Future Revolution did, where they essentially, capped out the way you earned XP to get to the end, and players really didn't like it. So it was really weird in terms of that. Same problem that Marvel Future Revolution is having with matchmaking, they're also having in the game as well. So they want to address some of those issues. Basically, this is when you look at where the development team kind of falls off and fails, because you can see that the game was put in the hands of people who didn't understand these systems. These weren't systems that they generate. The same way I feel like Marvel Future Revolution is in the hands of people who don't understand these systems. You can compare these games comparatively to other games like them in their class, and you can see that there's a fundamental knowledge gap that exists here. So it's kind of weird in that, right? So they're also taking the opportunity to use what they learned from the past. They've seen some amazing builds, plan on creating even wider variety of powerful builds because that's what we want. We want to be able to play characters, and we don't want there to be a clearly one-way defined meta. We want to be able to play those characters in a multitudes of ways, so that way my Iron Man really feels different from the other player's Iron Man. They also have they addressed the new shipment system here. I already talked to you guys about that. They experimented with players to earn weekly rewards for completing the Omega level threat and the raid for each hero, not just once per count. We really need this, especially because when this was broken and they had it this way, I can tell you right now it's fun. I hated having to go through the process to try to, people were trying to go through the process of trying to like log out, reject the system, log back in, and so forth in order to get into the Omega level threats to have them reset. But we need this. We need the ability to replay the raids multiple times because this is the fun content. This is the in-game content. And it doesn't matter at that point if you give us a shitty drop, because we'll replay the raid, we'll replay the Omega level threat, just so that way we get the opportunity at getting another drop, because that's essentially your gameplay loop, right? Like if you play Destiny almost guarantees that you're going to get a better item than the item that you had before, or that you're going to get some kind of item, but you never feel locked in because you just did that. So why they did that in a game where it's like a looter shooter like this, I don't understand. But they're obviously prioritizing critical bugs, and they keep talking about that. The raid stability, basically, they don't need to improve the raid stability. What they need to do is inject a system in the game that allows players to rejoin back into those same parties if they get kicked. That's the immediate improvement that you need, right? Obviously, yeah, improving the raid stability is great, but a raid that takes 2 hours to complete or an hour to complete, you need the ability, because players are going to disconnect from you without you improving the raid stability. Players are going to disconnect because their connection happens, something on their end, and you want to be able to just say, hey, look, let's just rejoin in there. So then the last note here is kind of, what we're talking about in terms of whether or not this game will die in the next year or will continue into the years to come. They can't wait to share information about their the long-term plans, and they plan to do so as soon as they finalize the development and launch schedules. They say that they love the Avengers together, blah blah blah, and they're looking for new heroes to fight with. They have planned new ways to fight, new heroes to fight with, and new challenges to face. Here's my thought about the game and ultimately where the game is going to end up. I don't see Square Enix not allowing them to complete the story. I really don't see Square Enix not allowing them the Crystal Dynamics to complete the story that they were telling. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really hope that they do. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people often look at this game and forget that the game is story based. When you started out as the reassemble campaign with your Avengers initiative, and then that story built into the AIM robots and them coming with Kate Bishop being introduced, then you got a future look at what could possibly happen if AIM took over and Maestro Hulk came in, and then you get the introduction of Black Panther for the War for Wakanda as AIM tries to take over and gain access to the vibranium resources that Wakanda has in order to fulfill their mission. But we still have this long-term plan that we can see with the Kree invasion that's supposed to come. I really want them to finish the story regardless, because to be honest with you, one of the best places in the game that I've had the most amount of fun playing is the story content. That the story content and the DLC that has come, which has been free, by the way, at every level, is actually fun, especially when you get new character introductions in that way. Even the iconic missions and things like that, there's a lot there to be done with the iconic missions and unfolding those stories. Like with Thor, for instance, you run his iconic mission, you can see Loki operating from the back scenes. Those things are really good, and that's what they need to be looking at, saying, do more of these pieces, do more of these pieces. And then in the meantime, let players have balls out, balls free to just play as their heroes. Let them run through in-game content, Omega level threats, raids, and let them multiply run it, so that way they have something that carries them between from story content to story content. because that's what's ultimately going to drive the player base, is that we want to just jump into the game and feel like we're playing these heroes that we see on the MCU screens, that we see inside the comic books, and then just keep dropping skins, because you're going to make money on players if you drop skins that they're familiar with. Like right now, if they told me they're going to drop Herald of Galactus store skin inside this goddamn game, and we got that skin in there, and they told me they were going to charge me 20 bucks for that, I'd pay the damn 20 bucks, because I love that skin. If somebody came in and said they were going to add a Beta Ray Bill skin inside this game for Thor, I'm pretty sure players would be like, yo, I'm dropping money on that skin. If somebody said that they were going to come inside here and they're going to introduce Rescue as the next character that, you know, that came down the line, people would come to the game and play that character, and they would pay for those skins. If people said that, you know what, you're gonna add She-Hulk inside the game, and you know She-Hulk played a little bit like the Hulk, people would pay for those skins. So literally, the content that you are producing in between the stories should be something to keep the players enthralled and feeling like they can level up characters, and it shouldn't be something that's going to, you know, push them away. It should be something that like just makes them feel like, hey, there's a reason to continue playing this game, to jump in from time to time. But making the grind 8-hour window a day, like, I mean, the shipment things are nice. I really like the shipments, I'm gonna be honest, I like them, but it's just so much investment in time. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm excited that they're actually going to be releasing this roadmap. I can tell you I've been way more involved in Lost Ark and Black Desert Online recently, and I'll probably be a little bit more involved in Destiny when the Witch Queen drops, and then Elden Ring, that I don't know where Marvel's Avengers would ultimately fit inside my schedule. But like I said, this channel is largely just, you know, me playing games and just enjoying community with you guys. So I would love to know what you guys think about this. In the next time, peace.